I'm so excited for this episode. I'm having a conversation, or you joining me for a conversation with Nosipho, intentional living. It's going to be great. We were connecting online and we thought, you know what, we cannot waste time. Let's have this conversation. It's the beginning of the year, still fresh, and we just thought, you know what, the best time is now. Just welcome Nosipho with me and get insight into our intimate conversation. Thank you for joining me once again. Hi, my name is Linda Ndungane and welcome to Thriving with Linda. So really this series is for people who have a strong desire and determination to stay positive, stay focused and succeed. I share what I have learned, what I have seen work, from people who definitely know better than me and those who are willing to share their experiences so we can help each other and grow. It's a new year and we are conquering. And I think also people are trying to do so much to just catch up, don't you think?
We are.
I've seen so many events now, like people are just like, come together, let's just, mingle and swindle and all of that.
As we should, because things need to be done. But at the same time, it's a unique balance, hey? It's a very intricate balance that you can't copy and paste. And we are all juggling. We are all just juggling. But there also seems to be a never-ending sort of stream of like, where are we even going?
Don't say that. I was having such an interesting conversation earlier. Before we started, actually. I think the conversation lasted an hour. We were just talking about adulting in general and the fact that, yes, we've got our plans. Yes, we've got like the way to say at a certain point you want to achieve certain things and, the life cycle, insurance, retirement, annuity, all those things. But where are we going? Because it feels like such a rat race, even though you tell yourself, no, I'm being intentional. I'm focusing on certain things. There's just so much on our plate. And when you take a deep breath, it's like, why am I here again? And we don't take that time out to do that. And I think obviously it's led to me connecting with you. Us having this conversation.
That's a great segue. Very great radio segue.
This girl here maximizing on the skills. But it was a great way for me, because when I then reached out to you, I was in that frame of mind to say, let me reach out to a wider circle of people. If you remember, I was like, you know what, your way of sharing content, the work that you're doing is so great right now. A lot of us are being more conscious about ourselves, about our plans, about our bodies, and we don't take time to reflect. Or I haven't been surrounded by a lot of people that can safely say to me, I've taken time, I've reflected, and for me to thrive, these are the things that I have been so conscious and consistent with, And I just wanted to hear from you and have this, conversation with you just about the work that you're doing and how you feel in that space and the impact that it's had firstly on you and the people that you have been working with, But obviously that's like the gist of it. It's just the gist of it. But for those that haven't met you, that don't know who you are, if someone was to stand on a stage and you have an opportunity to speak to like 10,000 people and they're just they're waiting to hear from you and you're being introduced by someone and they're going to have to do like a rundown of who you are, what would you want them to say? How would you want them to introduce you?
Wow. That is actually quite an interesting question, because I myself am in a stage of my life where I'm just saying, I am on a journey of self-discovery myself. As much as I am teaching what I'm teaching, I myself am peeling back tons and tons of layers of beliefs, of thoughts, of things that I've held as things that were Nosipho that I no longer want to identify with. So with that being said, I would say Nosipho is a person who's in her life right now reinventing and redefining what it is to be a woman, starting where I am and starting to teach the things I'm teaching has been for me a journey of actualizing myself and identifying who I am within myself so that I can better show up and better articulate the things that I want to teach. So there's that aspect of intentional living being that a journey of me unraveling all of the things that I have held true. And now I'm taking the clients that I have on this journey of self-discovery, and I'm taking whoever is on the platform and seeing my stuff on social media to say, listen, there's more to this life thing than what meets the eye that we are told is the things to get, the things to do, the boxes to tick. It all starts with the inner world that now reflects the outer world, and that is the core basically of how we create in this life. And with that being said, a lot of us, including me at some point, had that existential crisis of like, okay, I've ticked the box, what now? But there seems to be something that I'm not diving deeper into, that I'm needing to actually do with my life, to know about myself, that I'm not actually tapping into. So all in all, I'd say somebody introducing me would be, this lady is a lady that lives and walks what she talks. She is a lady that is on a journey of always peeling back layers and always wanting to see if there's more to this life thing, to know her potentiality and to express that and articulate that in an easy manner for people to also take note and do the same for themselves.
Oh man, just you saying layers for me, it's making me want to get a sense of your definition of self-discovery. How would you describe, how would you define self-discovery?
I would say, and I'm taking in my own personal reference here and the people that I've tapped into in terms of finding out where they are in the stages of their life. Self-discovery is the path and the journey that most of us do not take because we are very uncomfortable with facing ourselves and looking in the mirror and seeing the parts of ourselves that are uncomfortable, the parts of ourselves that we have been complacent on, the parts of ourselves that actually have been structured by societal norms, societal culture, everything else but ourselves. That is the journey to go back to self and to know the who of who you are authentically, and the what beyond the who, the what of who you are, the God essence of you, the God nature of you, the potentiality that you have as the creative power that is God that you can use to create a better life for yourself.
So when we're talking about us being the best version or the better version, and just the steps leading to that, right? There needs to be some sort of a trigger, an event, or some sort of inspiration that gets us to just tap into that path of change or transition. For you, what was that pinnacle point where it was just like, you know what?
I love that. I love that you say there has to be a trigger event. For most of us, that's what happens, and that's what we wait for, and we get to a point where life pushes us to actually start the work. And that's what intentional living is about, where it's the proactive work of actually coming into that process on your own without being pushed by life. I was pushed by life, and it pushed me to the point where I was just like, girl, I didn't know who I was. I actually had to sit down and say, I have the title, I do the work, I'm breaking my back, putting in revenue, generating revenue for this company, and I lost myself completely in that And prior to that, I had a big sort of life change, which was an ending of a relationship that also triggered that. So it was a few good years of things just triggering going onto this journey more intentionally. So when I started off, it was just trying to get some ground under my feet in terms of control, because in myself, had perceived that I'd lost control of who I was and what was going on around me as my life. And I had to now re-identify what that meant for me. So that is what started me off on the journey. And for most people, generally, that's the case. It's that sort of, okay, please, Lord, take the wheel, because in and of myself and my limited wisdom, I can't. So right now, Jesus, you give me the strength and you give me the power to move from this situation and see a better tomorrow. Other than this victim mentality that I'm now in, and stooping deeper and deeper into depression with
Yeah.
regards to how my life is seemingly looking.
Like that take the wheel, moment, that take the wheel. Oh my goodness. So the wheel was taken over, and you then had an opportunity to give of yourself. I love the fact that you're also a person that loves to serve, right? And I think your brand, maybe just let's talk about intentional living with Nosipho. The birthing of that, what has it meant for you, getting to the point where you were able to serve in that way?
Whew. That is a really great question, Linda, and something that I really, words will fail me to articulate, because we come into this space of start a business, and like nothing, nobody can ever prepare you for what that means. I myself, had I known what I now know a year and a half or so later, would have actually possibly like done a back pedal. I went in very naively, and I think I needed that naive sort of energy to go in full in. I
Yeah.
made a commitment at the start of when I got the idea. Let me actually backtrack a bit. COVID started, and I got retrenched from my previous job. And within me, I knew that was it. Even if things were to get better in the next 3, 4 months, I'm not going back. There's
Okay.
something that was brewing in me that had already started brewing of, no, man, you're settling. You are
Yeah.
settling. There is something that is within you that is brewing that you need to pay attention to. And for me, going back to that thinking, I thought it was just going into self-discovery for myself. And then I looked within myself. What do I have as a passion? And this process took about a couple of months, close to a year, to just try to figure out, what do I want to do? What is really resonating with me? And then obviously I got the idea of intentional living, which was just a page where I was going to share information and help whoever comes along with whatever it is that they were wanting in terms of self-discovery. But the journey, as I started it showed me within myself a lot of things that I needed to work on. I thought I was going to come serve people, but I have in the past 2 years been serving myself by looking within myself to see the limiting beliefs that I've been holding about myself, what I'm capable of,
Oh
the
yes.
level of creativity I have. The biggest one for me was possibly the thing of just feeling unworthy and lacking that sense of entitlement of being where I am and wanting to do what I do, and actually trying to articulate. Because remember, I was coming in from an industry that it's managerial. It's a junior managerial position,
Yeah.
but there's a chain of command. It's a ladder of command. There is no creative capacity in that role except just the systems that were in place. So now I'm coming here and I'm saying I'm going to teach. I don't have a product. I don't have anything. I have a few stories of myself, of how I got through what I went through. I don't know how to articulate this, so I'm starting
From
below ground
zero.
and articulate, not even zero, below ground, because I don't know. customer psychology. I don't know anything about creating creatives for social media. I don't know how to speak and articulate this seeming idea that I have. And
Yeah.
all of that now has to unravel. And I have to now keep leaning into it being possible for me to have this dream and actually realize it, and also do the work to actually show up as this person who's worthy to actually command that authority and actually teach other people. Because for me, that has been the biggest part of the journey of just realizing the work points back to myself and the things that I now need to work on to show up as somebody who has the capacity to support somebody else on their journey.
Oh, I just love how you mentioned, also serving yourself, also learning, also just discovering you in the process, thinking that you are giving something and in turn it's going to help someone else, and then finding that it's like helping you. It's like a therapy session for you. Because I found that with the podcast, when I started, I was like, no, I'm going to get all these stories, tell people, this is what you do, gearing up for it. And as I was having discussions with people, I grew so much in, just like you're saying, the psychology of understanding, just understanding me first, and knowing that I had to be so vulnerable, And I think you've touched on the part about vulnerability so well in this, that firstly it starts with you knowing self and taking time. Because I like how you're saying it went into months, close to a year. And what I've realized with self and people that I've engaged with, close friends, is the rush that we have. You start a journey, you're like, in a week, you're thinking, no, the habits are in. You're waking up 4:30, or you're like 6 a.m. I'm at the gym, or you're like, I'm being prayerful now, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're like, by the fourth week, no, there's now excuses, there's things, and we don't appreciate the fact that it takes time. It takes time to be in a position where you find that solace to say, I'm here, and this is the road that I'm taking, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it can't happen overnight.
It can't. That's the thing. And it's a rude awakening, Linda. It is such a rude awakening, because the zeal that I had, the business cards were printed, the t-shirts, everything. And then I actually went in and started actually doing, and I threw myself in the actual doing of thinking, here's my product, here's what I do, and then I actually saw, no, that's not gonna fly. That is not gonna fly, because this thing takes time, especially when you say personal brand.
Yes.
You have to know that is an investment of a good couple of years, especially in a space where South Africa, the type of the timeline that we're at in terms of social media and the force that is social media compared to worldwide. So
what was your biggest discovery though? What was your biggest discovery, like business wise, and just kicking off?
Biggest discovery, I think we've already touched on it. Of the time, like I second guessed the magnitude of work to do, and I second guessed the importance of mindset and emotional regulation as you go on this journey. And I really, nobody can actually tell you these things, even because I threw myself into a lot of platforms where I could find mentors. And I remember at one given time, I think I had about 7 or 8 mentors just mentoring me, because I was so outside focused that somebody is going to give me the thing that's going to help me move forward. And all of that just pointed me back to myself.
It's within.
And just taking time. And just, it's a journey. Even just formulating a product. I haven't had a product to sell since I started with the mentoring and being on social media. because I thought it would be like, oh yeah, I'm a coach, come to me for coaching. But
Yeah.
I needed to understand the dynamics of what do I offer? What is that? How does that help somebody? How do I now frame myself as that person who somebody can trust enough to say, I want to be helped by this person? And all of that just came back to, yeah, this person called Nosipho, who now needs to articulate these things and take the baby steps, one step at a time,
Yeah.
starting with content, starting with the marketing, starting with just introducing yourself to people on a daily basis and showing up there, and then taking the next step for product formulation. And we're thinking all of these things need to come in and click in right now, and everything is going to be streamlining and just on a smooth sailing road to wherever it is that you want to go revenue wise.
Yeah, let's not even, I wanted to say, let's not even talk about the revenue. Because when you kick off, it's like, no, first client, you're like, still beating around the bush on your rates, and you're thinking, no. Second one, you're like adjusting. Third, you're like, ooh, maybe this pricing is not working. There's so much to it. I don't know if you had a moment to sit back and reflect just on, the need to network. I mean, one of the things that I'm so passionate about sharing, and I'm at fault at not doing it quite well as well, is the networking. For instance, you have such a huge, it's actually mind blowing, right? I know you're probably not seeing it like that, but for me, intentional living with Nosipho, it's huge. When you look at it and you're like, this is what I'm taking to market. This is what I'm pouring out. And the parts that you mentioned around, introducing yourself, going out there, what have you found most fulfilling, if you have, with the networking and connecting with people? And what have you found not disabling or depleting? What's the good English word? Because I don't want to use like challenging or difficult, but what have you found, like, the crutches to it that have not really worked well, and things that you want to work better at, when it comes to networking, showing up for intentional living?
Whew, that's actually a lovely question, and I have to be honest with you, Linda. I have not tapped into this as much as I can, and I think it's okay for me, and I'm actually fine with where my journey is right now, of actually having not have gone into networks and seeing who I can collaborate with on an intentional basis, because I am still just here trying to articulate what it is. What is this that I'm birthing? There is a few things that are in place, yes, but those two still need articulation.
Yeah.
Even my title of who I am is still up in the air. I still call myself a mentor and a coach and self-discovery, that's still in the air too.
Yes.
So with that being said, I'm comfortable with the level at which I'm growing, meaning the internal work and the seeing of all the aspects of that where the business might go. But in terms of tapping into to networks, the little that I've done, the people that I've touched base with are very receptive and are very helpful. But it's also the thing that I saw is maybe perhaps it's the people that I was engaging with, but it's more of a, what can you give me? So are you valuable enough to actually me get something before I now work with you or consider you to work with me? So it's that sort of dynamic that I saw. But I have to say, this has been on a really minimal level where I've tapped into those spaces, but I haven't really done the work to actually go into that yet.
Oh, awesome. I know we talk about, content, that people share, and the impact we'd like to have. I mean, when you think about everything that you've shared thus far, what is it that you would want people to know, maybe in 2 lines? What would you want people to know about that? Like, if anyone was to see your name somewhere, they must be able to say 1, 2 things about the work that you do.
Oh, one or two lines. I actually would love to be known or my brand associated with the line that life is lived from the inside out, one intentional step at a time. And with that intentional step at a time, you might not see where it takes you right now. But when you're open and receptive to the guiding force within yourself, that's when the journey starts. And that's when you start moving towards where you need to go. So for me, it's all about that sort of prioritizing and having balance between the doing and the being so that you are walking this life path knowing the essence of who you are and knowing that you're also in the world to do, but not letting the doing superseding the being, which is actually essential to how you do in the world. So for me, that would be the thing that I want people to associate. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can be whatever it is. The revenue target, the life that you want, which is the lavish, soft life, is yours. But
Yeah.
when you are clicking into the right areas within yourself to have that be something you embody within the identity of who you are first, and then take that energy towards doing what is aligned with your true nature to do.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's amazing. I love how you bring back your message. Like in in our discussion, you've got this amazing way of just bringing in your message, and I think it's so powerful. Even when you're talking about business, even when you're
Yeah.
talking about your experiences, it's like you are already so true to self. For someone who's struggling, right, and needs to reach out to
Mm-hmm.
someone like you, what is it that they would have to look out for in themselves to know that, listen, Nosipho's the right person for me. I need to connect with Nosipho. So why would I acquire your services? What sets you apart as Nosipho?
Okay. Um, hmm. I would say what sets me apart is the level at which I'm able to guide people. There is the teachings that I teach are age old teachings that have been around for as old as the earth is, basically, in terms of wisdom. And the metaphysics of living life on earth is information that's out there. We know we have information available, but the level at which it's coming to us is too fast, and the level that we're processing it all in, and the level at which we are able to grasp the understanding of all of these concepts is very minimal. And along your journey, you would meet somebody who is versed in knowing exactly what those principles are, what those laws are, and how to demonstrate them practically in your life. And I believe with the experience that I've had personally of the fire that I've walked and the being a metaphysician, being also a studier of positive psychology, I have the necessary tools to help whoever is on the journey that also has an inclination towards spirituality, to know God first, to know how to use this creative capacity that we call God to demonstrate an authentic and well lived life from the inside out.
And how would one get in contact with you?
On my social media, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and on email. My email address is intentionalliving.co.za@gmail.com, and my handle is intentionalliving underscore with Nosipho on Instagram.
Oh, thank you so much. I think just as we wrap up, I want to know from you if there's one thing you would advise someone who is starting up, wanting to go through a self-discovery journey. What are the three key things that you would tell them to start doing even before they come to you, even before they start
Yeah,
searching on
yeah.
the internet is so wild. You can find anything.
So wild ways.
Good and bad, like what would you say to someone who's like, and especially because I mean we are around the same age. When you kick off, your 20s, you're like, I can conquer, I can do all things, and the
Yes.
world will hit you left, right, and center. And sometimes you
Yeah.
need,
When you forget.
that voice that will say, listen,
Mm.
these are the three things. If you stick to these three things, even before you get on any journey, you'll be fine. You'll be okay. If you do one, two, three, listen, you will thrive. This life is yours.
Mm. I would say first off is make time for solitude. We actually are avert to actually sitting with ourselves and not distracting ourselves. The habit of sitting with the uncomfortable parts of ourselves is a struggle for most of us quite strongly, and that is where it starts. That is the basis of any work that you can do, is to start giving yourself on a day-to-day basis that 10, 15, 20 minutes to just sit and observe yourself. You don't have to do anything. You're not distracting yourself. Just sit and be with what is going on in your present experience in terms of your emotions and your thoughts. And that's the core of it. Wherever you will go from there is someplace that will be for you, because you started with tuning in to what's going on and listening in and being observant. And now the changes that you want to do will now come in a lot more not challenging for you, because you are clicking into those spaces and understanding the stories that are going on within yourself and how to now appropriate those better for yourself in order to not be fighting with ourselves. Because a lot of the time that's what happens with our goals. We are consistently fighting ourselves and being our own worst enemy, because we can't really integrate all of these conflicting parts of ourselves that we get exposed to day. So that's the core of it. I wouldn't even go to second or third. Just start there. Number
Just
one,
start
the first
there.
and fundamental rule is take time to know yourself and get in line with observing your thoughts and observing your emotions. And that's going to give you the building blocks to know what to do, to what to work on, and what to embrace about yourself. And that's the starting journey to confidence, to self-trust, to trusting, to knowing the voice of God within yourself, to know what it is that you need to be running after and in doing.
Yes, in finding that path that you're actually supposed to take, I think your
Yeah.
message for me that's come so strong is it's within yourself. It's within you. That is the product.
Well,
Go
I
create a journal,
articulated,
something, get something going there. It's within you. Let's do a road show. And it's so amazing that we discard the simple things, in life. Oh my goodness, the simplest of things.
And that's where it is. That's the key. And it's so underrated that you go for decades and decades seeking, but it already was always there. The happiness that you seek, the love that you seek, the prosperity, the abundance is, yeah, you have to cultivate it within you before it demonstrates in your outer life. If you don't feel it, you'll never ever have it as a permanent thing in your life.
Thank you for joining me for this session. If you liked what you heard and believe it can help someone, please share, rate us, subscribe. Abundant blessings to you and yours. Bye.